Hello, ARMY. Welcome back to the K-pop news channel. ARMY was ready to celebrate, but the moment Taehyung and Jungkook walked through those doors, everything changed. The smiles felt forced. The silence felt loud, and the air around them was heavy, like something unseen had followed them home. Fans all over the world felt it instantly. This wasn't just a happy return, and it felt like a warning. What happened behind the scenes? Why did their eyes look so different? And what secret is hiding in this moment that no one is talking about? Stay with us, because what you're about to see might change how you view Taehyung and Jungkook forever. The door slid open. That was the moment everything shifted. Taehyung stepped in first, shoulders squared, face calm but not relaxed. Jungkook followed half a step behind him, close enough that anyone watching could feel the tension between them. They were together, yet somehow distant from everything else around them. Cameras flashed. Voices called their names. But neither of them reacted the way they used to. No wide smiles. No playful waves. No easy laughter. Just a quiet, heavy walk forward, as if they were crossing a line they couldn't step back from. Fans noticed it instantly. It wasn't just the way Taehyung's eyes stayed fixed ahead, refusing to meet the crowd. It wasn't just the way Jungkook's jaw tightened every time someone shouted his name. It was something deeper, something unspoken, like they were carrying something no one else could see. They sat down side by side, close enough that their arms brushed. In the past, that small touch would have been comforting, familiar. But now it felt different, almost tense, like both of them were holding back words that were too dangerous to say out loud. Taehyung's fingers curled slowly against his thigh. Jungkook noticed. He always did. For a brief second, their eyes met, and in that moment, everything they weren't saying felt louder than anything they could have spoken. Jungkook's gaze wasn't soft. It was searching, almost worried. Taehyung looked away first. That was new. The room kept moving around them. Staff walking, voices murmuring, cameras clicking. But inside that small space between Taehyung and Jungkook, it felt like time had slowed, like something was about to break. Fans watching from screens all over the world felt it too. Something was wrong. They had returned together, but they didn't feel united in the same way. There was a thin, invisible line between them now, and no one knew how it got there. Taehyung finally spoke, his voice low and controlled. "Let's just get through this." Jungkook turned slightly toward him. Through what? Taehyung didn't answer. That silence was louder than anything else in the room. Because whatever had happened before this moment, whatever followed them home, it wasn't over yet. And as the cameras kept rolling, one thing became painfully clear. This return wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning of something far more complicated. Jungkook kept staring at Taehyung, but not in the way fans were used to. No soft smiles, no teasing glances. This time it was sharp, focused, like he was trying to read something written deep behind Taehyung's eyes. "You're not okay," Jungkook said quietly. Taehyung didn't answer right away. He shifted in his seat, eyes still fixed forward, pretending to listen to someone speaking across the room. But Jungkook wasn't fooled. "I know that look," Jungkook continued, lowering his voice. "You only get like that when something's really wrong." Taehyung finally turned to him. For just a second, the calm mask cracked. "Don't," he murmured. "Not here." That was all it took. Jungkook leaned back, but the tension didn't disappear. If anything, it grew thicker, heavier. Whatever Taehyung was hiding wasn't small. It wasn't something you could brush off with a joke or a smile. Across the room, laughter suddenly broke out. Someone had made a light-hearted comment. Everyone else reacted normally. Taehyung and Jungkook didn't. Their silence stood out. Fans watching closely would have noticed how Taehyung's shoulders stayed stiff, how Jungkook's fingers kept tapping against his knee like he was counting down to something. Minutes passed. Then a staff member approached and quietly handed Taehyung a phone. Taehyung froze. Jungkook saw it immediately. "What is it?" he asked. Taehyung looked at the screen. The color drained from his face. "It's nothing," he said too quickly. Jungkook knew that tone. It was the same one Taehyung used whenever the truth was too heavy to share. "Let me see," Jungkook insisted. Taehyung hesitated for just a heartbeat. It felt like the entire room was holding its breath. Then he locked the phone and slid it into his pocket. "Later," he said quietly. "I'll explain later." But later didn't feel guaranteed anymore. Whatever was on that screen had shaken him in a way Jungkook had never seen before. The rest of the event moved on. But for Taehyung and Jungkook, it felt like they were trapped inside a different reality, one where every second was ticking towards something neither of them could stop. When it was finally over, they stood up together, still side by side, still tense as they walked toward the exit. Jungkook leaned in just enough for Taehyung to hear him. "Whatever that was, it's not going to disappear if you keep running from it." Taehyung didn't reply, but the way his hands clenched told Jungkook everything. Something had already started, and neither of them was ready for what was coming next. The hallway outside was quieter, but the pressure didn't fade. Taehyung walked faster, his steps sharp against the floor. Jungkook stayed beside him, matching every stride, refusing to let the distance grow. "Tell me," Jungkook said. "Right now." Taehyung stopped so suddenly that Jungkook almost ran into him. "You don't understand," Taehyung replied, voice low but tight. "If I say it here, it becomes real." Jungkook stared at him. "It's already real. I saw your face when you got that message." For a moment, Taehyung looked like he might speak. His lips parted, then pressed together again, as if the words were too dangerous to release. Footsteps echoed somewhere behind them. Taehyung glanced over his shoulder, then pulled Jungkook a few steps farther down the corridor, out of sight. "Something is about to come out," Taehyung whispered. "Something we can't control." "About us?" Jungkook asked. Taehyung didn't answer. That silence was enough. Jungkook exhaled slowly, trying to stay calm. "You've been acting strange for days. Now this. If it's a rumor, we've survived worse." "This isn't just a rumor," Taehyung said quietly. "It's someone trying to rewrite what people believe about us." Jungkook felt a chill run through him. Rewrite how? Taehyung finally pulled out his phone. His hand trembled slightly as he unlocked the screen, then stopped again. "I can't show you yet," he said. "Not until I know how bad it is." "That doesn't make sense." "It does," Taehyung insisted. "If you see it now, you won't be able to pretend anymore." "Pretend about what?" Before Taehyung could answer, another phone buzzed. This time it was Jungkook's. He looked down. A notification from an unknown account appeared. One line of text showed on the screen. "You should ask Taehyung what he's been hiding." Jungkook slowly raised his eyes. Taehyung was staring at his own phone again, frozen, like he had just seen the same message. Whatever was happening, it wasn't random. Someone was watching them, and whatever secret had followed them home was getting closer. Jungkook locked his phone without replying, but the message kept echoing in his head. "Ask Taehyung what he's been hiding." He studied Taehyung's face again. Not gently, not with nostalgia, but like someone trying to solve a dangerous puzzle before it was too late. "You got it too, didn't you?" Jungkook said quietly. Taehyung didn't deny it. "That wasn't a coincidence," Jungkook continued. "Someone knows exactly where we are, what we're doing." Taehyung swallowed slowly. "That's why I didn't want you to see it yet." "See what?" Taehyung took a slow breath, like he was about to step off a cliff. "There are files being passed around," he said. "Screenshots, old clips, messages taken out of context. They're being edited into a story." "What story?" "A story that makes us look like something we're not," Taehyung replied. "Something dangerous. Something people would fight over." Jungkook's eyes narrowed. "So someone is trying to control the narrative." Taehyung nodded. "And they're not doing it for fun." Another vibration came through. This time it was Taehyung's phone. He didn't need to check to know what it was, but he did anyway. A new message appeared on the screen. "Chapter 1 is already out. Chapter 2 will hurt more." Jungkook felt a chill crawl up his spine. "They're treating this like a series," he said. "They want people to keep watching." Taehyung replied quietly. "Keep guessing. Keep arguing about us." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The hallway suddenly felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were slowly closing in. Jungkook stepped closer. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I was hoping it would stop," Taehyung said. "Because once you know, there's no going back." Jungkook exhaled sharply. You don't get to carry this alone. Before Taehyung could reply, a staff member called their names from the end of the corridor. They were being summoned back. The outside world was waiting. Taehyung slipped his phone back into his pocket. Whatever they're planning, it's not over yet. Jungkook looked at him, eyes steady now. Then we face it together. They turned and started walking back toward the room. Behind them, unseen, another message was already being sent, and the next chapter was on its way. They didn't look back. Taehyung walked with his head high, Jungkook beside him. But every step felt heavier than the last. The room they were led into was brighter, louder, full of people who had no idea how close something dangerous was moving toward them. They took their seats again. From the outside, it looked normal. From the inside, everything was cracking. Jungkook felt his phone vibrate again in his pocket, but this time, he didn't check it. Whoever was doing this wanted their attention, and giving it too easily felt like a trap. Taehyung leaned closer, his voice barely a whisper. They're pushing it faster now. How do you know? Jungkook asked. Because they're losing patience. Across the room, someone laughed loudly. Cameras flashed again. But Taehyung's eyes were locked on a single point in front of him, like he was staring straight into a storm. Finally, Jungkook pulled out his phone. Another message had appeared. You think you still control the story? You don't. Jungkook's grip tightened. They're threatening us. They're daring us, Taehyung replied. So, what's their endgame? Jungkook asked. Taehyung hesitated. To make people doubt us, he said slowly. To make them choose sides, to turn what we are into something ugly. Jungkook felt anger rise in his chest. And you think hiding will stop that? I think one wrong move could make it worse. Before Jungkook could answer, Taehyung's phone buzzed again. This time, he showed the screen. A blurred photo appeared. Two figures walking close together in a hallway. Their shoulders brushed, their heads tilted slightly toward each other. Under the image was a caption. This is only the beginning. Jungkook stared at the photo. That was today. They're following us, Taehyung said. Or, someone near us is feeding them. Jungkook slowly looked around the room. Suddenly, everyone felt too close. Too quiet. Then we're not just dealing with rumors, Jungkook murmured. We're dealing with someone inside. Taehyung nodded. And that's what scares me the most. Another message arrived. This one had no image. Just words. Wait until the world sees what we release next. Taehyung locked his phone. Whatever was coming, it wasn't meant to be kind. And it was getting closer every second. The room suddenly felt too small. Jungkook leaned back in his chair, scanning every face around them. Laughter. Casual conversations. Harmless expressions. But now all of it looked like a stage set hiding something darker behind it. Someone here knows, Jungkook muttered. They're not guessing, they're watching. Taehyung kept his gaze forward. That's why they chose today, he said quietly. So many people. So much noise. The perfect place to hide. Jungkook's phone vibrated again. This time it wasn't a message. It was a countdown. 3:59. 3:58. 3:57. They're timing something, Jungkook whispered. Taehyung's breath caught. Then we don't have much time. To do what? To decide whether we stay silent or break their plan. The numbers kept falling. 3:20. 3:19. Jungkook leaned closer. If they're releasing something, we need to get ahead of it. Taehyung shook his head. If we speak without knowing what they have, we could make it worse. They want us to panic. Then what do you suggest? Jungkook asked. Taehyung's eyes flicked toward a door at the side of the room. We disappear, he said quietly. Just long enough to see what they drop. The countdown kept ticking. 2:41. Jungkook hesitated only a second before nodding. Let's go. They stood trying to look casual, but every step toward the exit felt like it was being tracked. Taehyung could almost feel eyes burning into his back. The moment the door closed behind them, the noise of the room vanished. Only silence remained. And the countdown. 2:10. Jungkook pulled out his phone. If this is some kind of exposure, then they want the world to watch us fall. Taehyung finished. Another message appeared. You can run. It won't stop what's coming. 1:30. Jungkook's heart started pounding. Where did this start? He asked. Taehyung swallowed. Weeks ago, he said. Someone reached out pretending to be a fan. Then another. Then more. They were collecting pieces. Old moments. Private reactions. Small things people forgot. And now, he continued quietly, they're turning it into a story that isn't ours. 0:59. Jungkook's phone buzzed again. A link appeared. He didn't open it. Taehyung didn't have to ask what it was. Whatever they're about to release, Jungkook said quietly. It's big. The countdown reached 0. Both of their phones vibrated at the same time, and whatever just went live was about to change everything.